Everyone, today we're talking about power. In the context of the golf game, I like to think of power as the amount of force that we can apply to the club, to the ground, and then the speed at which we can do it. So the faster we can apply that force, that swing speed in turn is going to be greater, and in turn that ball speed is going to be greater. So when we look at training that, I like to think of two main ways. So we have one being actually swinging the club. So we can do overload and underload training. There's a lot of different platforms now. There's the stack system, there's super speed sticks, there's golf slingshot, and many others that have a program that use different weighted utensils. You could always just use your golf clubs as well, but basically with the intent to swing as fast as you can. Now that is a critical part to building club head speed. The second part, which I think is just as important or maybe even more important, is what we can do away from the golf clubs. That could be in the gym, at home. You don't need too many pieces of equipment, but today I want to go over more of that aspect. So if we're talking about power that we can build in the gym, I like to think of kind of three main things. So one is going to be building that strength. So the more ability we have to produce force, in turn, that's going to translate to more power, more club head speed. Number two is our ability to explode. You may have heard of plyometric exercises before. Basically, explosive jumping, it could be explosive throwing, it could be explosive running. We want to be able to move fast. And then the third portion I like to think about is how we can translate that power from that lower body into the club. So using some sort of rotational method, we can throw a ball, we can use a cable machine, we can do a number of different things to translate that force from our body into that club. So there's obviously a lot of different layers we can go about doing that. A well-designed program from a knowledgeable coach is going to be your best plan of attack. But what I want to do today is give you a few actionable tips that you can take right away towards building some strength, building some power that's going to translate to your golf game this off-season. So on that note, we're going to do some strength training. So like I said, the first method, we need to build some strength in those legs. Now it's definitely important to build core strength, upper body strength. I think for a lot of people who are new to training, we've got to build a strong base. So we're going to do a very simple exercise. We're going to do a squat. I've got a kettlebell here. We're going to do what's called a goblet squat. So it means the weight is out in front of us as opposed to on our back. So got a kettlebell here. I'm going to hold it at my chest. I'll show you from a couple different angles here. We're going to sit back, hips moving behind us. Good foot position, knees are tracking out. And then I'm going to head back up, on up. So from this angle, again, toes are forward if we can. Good posture there. Weight right in front of the sternum. Sinking back into that bottom position and drive up. So there's obviously a lot of different ways we can squat. Like I mentioned, I want the feet forward. I want to see those knees tracking over the toes. We want to have the heels and the toes stay on the ground. And I want to maintain a good arch in that foot. So that's a great starting exercise. Lots of other leg exercises we can do, but we want to build some strength in that lower body as number one. So part two, after we've done our strength, we want to work on some explosiveness. So I like to do some box jumps here. If we don't have boxes at home, we could absolutely just do some vertical jumps without anything that we're hopping up to. If we have though, it's a good landmark for us to give us some feedback on how high we're jumping. So I would be cautious if we haven't done training recently, or if you haven't done running or jumping recently. This can be a little bit harder on the body, but if you've gone through a good periodized program or you're feeling comfortable, I would definitely say doing some jumping is going to be beneficial. So I'm going to do a box jump here. I'll give you two variations. I'll do our kind of standard one, and then I'll add a little bit of rotation as well. So not going to give you too many cues. We want to be natural in this position. I will say you're probably going to be a little bit narrower than your squat, and again, we want those feet forward. So I'm going to give myself a nice arm swing. We're going to land softly on that box, and then step back. Good note there, we want to make sure we are secure where we're landing. Don't want to slip off. Give you a couple more reps. One final rep here. Good arm swing up high. And we're sticking with it. Okay, option number 2 would be adding some rotation. So I'm starting facing 90 degrees to my target. I'm gonna load down, 90-degree turn, landing on that box. Okay, so we've got some strength, we've got some plyometric lower body exercises. Those 2 are really gonna help towards developing power. Our third one's gonna be how we translate it. So we're gonna grab a med ball here in a second. So component number 3 is how can we translate that force that we've built up from that lower body into the club. In this case, we're gonna use a med ball, but you're gonna see how we translate that force from that lower body through the core and propel out in some rotation. So got a 8-pound med ball here. Could use anything from 3 pounds to 10 pounds. Wouldn't go too much heavier than 10. I'm gonna be in a nice athletic position, about 3-wood or driver width, something a little bit wider than what you'd usually hit with an iron. Be in a nice wide base. We're gonna get a little bit of a shift side to side. So a little bit of that lateral shift. I'll go left first. As I load into my back leg, I wanna get some rotation, and then we're gonna fire hard into that wall. So I'm loading into the back leg, I'm loading, then as I come through that transition to the left leg and producing some force through the ground and translating that through the core and into the ball. So I'll give you a few reps here. So shift right, transition left, explode those hips, fire that ball into the wall. One more rep. Okay, that's a really important part. We can be super strong in that lower body. We can have a super strong upper body. If we can't translate that force into the club, we're not going to be able to produce that speed that we want. So to recap, if we want to build power that translates to swing speed, we need to build strength. So we're starting with some squats. I think if you're new to it, getting 3 times a week where you're accumulating at least 30 reps of a lower body exercise. So if we use that squat as an example, let's do 3 sets of 10, 3 times a week to start, and that's going to start to build that necessary lower body strength. Step 2 would be building that explosiveness and that plyometric. So whether that is a jump or a sprint, what we did today was a jump. So I've got a box there. You don't have to use that box. And let's do 3 sets of 5, 3 times a week. So that would be 45 reps over the course of that week. And last but not least is we need to be able to translate that force from the ground up through our body into that club. So in this case, we used a med ball throw. Again, let's do 10 reps. Make sure for that one we're getting both sides, left and right. Obviously, your dominant side is going to be most important when we talk about club head speed, but we don't want to build a further imbalance. So let's hit the 30 reps per side 3 times a week. And if we get all those things consistently, I can promise you you're going to build a better body to produce more club head speed and in turn hit that ball further. So there's a lot of ways we can go about it. I would highly recommend signing up with an experienced coach to get you a full program, but include those 3 things in your daily activities and you're going to come out next year with more power, more club head speed, and more distance, and we all know how much that matters. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know.